Hey there, prestigious viewers. Odds are you don't know who I am, but that's okay. I appreciate your company all the same. I go by many names, but for all intents and purposes, you may refer to me as my preferred alias, the Fro. Let's get started. So, Splatoon. What'd be that? Well, it's a video game, I guess. And judging from the box, it appears to be a shooty bang bang game. No. But in all seriousness, it is indeed a third-person shooter in which the player, in this case, takes up the role of the Inkling. Half-human, half-squid beings that take to the interwebs to participate in online matches, to make a big old mess on public property by using glorified super soakers and the like in 4v4 battles to spray lots of ink everywhere. Preferably more than the enemy team. I know. This is common knowledge by now for all you squid kids, but I still have to give context anyway to these little darlings who haven't played the game yet. Good. Let's press forward. For an actual experience, Splatoon did have a unique focus to help it set it apart from the shooter genre, but overall it really wasn't unlike most other games within that genre, in a way that, as a player, you would go in and play some matches, win some prizes, but that would be it. I mean, there is a form of interaction here, and it does help that there is a community on Miiverse so that people can post stuff and others can them or whatever, but the random shuffling of teams makes it so that a player who was your ally the prior round would be your opponent the next. It's not guaranteed, but more often than not this would be the case. And this is something that applies to all game modes with the exception of squad battles and private battles. But even then, only to a certain degree. So the player would kind of just leave and be like, this is kind of okay, but they wouldn't really have much else to write home about. But then enter Splatfests. And to save you all about another paragraph's worth of text, they were basically these day-long, monthly community events hosted by Nintendo that had the players choose between two sides and they would fight it out. But more importantly, the 16th Splatfest did recently conclude. However, it wasn't like any old regular fest. Oh no. This time, the players could choose which stages they would fight on. It was 48 hours long, and it was the final Wait, hang on. The final Splatfest? I don't like the sound of that. And surprise, surprise, not many others like that too. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you out there are probably thinking to yourself, well, so what? You didn't make it sound all that important. What's the big deal? First up, build up, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you worry, I'm getting to it. And secondly, this is what the purpose of this video is all about. Gathered friends, make yourself comfortable, for I have a tale to tell of how one event managed to rally spirits and give the entity from which it was spawned from more depth and enjoyment. Alright, now it's time to get to the thick of it. As mentioned prior, Splatfests had players choose between two sides and fight turf war battles in their team's name. Right off the bat, I like to think that this is a pretty big difference in terms of what players have to bond over. Whereas before, players could interact through one-off posts a la Facebook, but now, we were working towards a common goal, and that was to prove which team reigns supreme. Sure, the themes were rather trivial, like cats versus dogs, marshmallows versus hot dogs, or even snowman versus sandcastles. Now that's grade A competition right there. Some avid gamers, such as myself, would have liked to have seen some more interesting topics to compete on, and I concur with that statement, but I feel like these themes were chosen because they were all things that the average schmuck could relate to easily. It would have been cool to see something like Hoshido vs. Noah for Fire Emblem Fates, but that would risk alienating players who don't care about that game, and even without these gaming-centered themes, they worked. But why? Well, I believe it's because the Splatfests happened irregularly, and it brought the players together. They were events that made you feel like you were a part of the community through identifiable, albeit inconsequential themes, and gave players a sense of camaraderie because literally thousands of others came for the same reason. But what about the actual battling portion? Another key difference brought on by the big party was how matchmaking was changed to accommodate the circumstances. During the fests, you would enter a lobby waiting to be paired up with 3 other people on your team, and once that was done, the 4 of you would wait to meet your opponents in battle. Unless you were on the popular team, where sometimes you would face off against your own allies. Yeah. Okay. In either case, once you would play a match and decide to stay in the lobby, your team isn't shuffled. No, that'd be stupid. Rather, if you choose to stay, your teammates from the previous round will be right behind you. Not all the time, but more often than not, they would be there. This adds a new layer of togetherness not seen otherwise, and it keeps players coming back for more, because even though you can't speak with them, the more you play, the more you can get a feel of how they play. Your teamwork gets better and better, and they may even notice some holes in your playstyle that is overlooked. It gets to be more personal, because even when it's over, you might find some of them in the hub area, and you think to yourself, this person, man, this person was really good. I loved playing with him. Starting to see where I'm getting at here? Splatfests help to make Splatoon feel more like a community-driven experience rather than just some other online game you can play. They helped people connect and share some great times together, rarely seen in most shooter-type games, where in those cases, they just seem to be constantly at each other's throats. Time and again, I've seen people post shoutouts to other players because they genuinely had a good time playing. I think you can start to put 2 and 2 together and notice the repercussions of the discontinuation of Splatfests. You see, without these events, players don't have a lot of reasons to come back and play the game. Sure, the core game is fun, but it's pretty routine, as is most other shooters. With the lack of community-driven events such as these, there is a change in the replayability factor, because aside from the numerous free updates given out, people like me treated these parties as something to get hyped for, and to get to experience Splatoon at its finest. So, a little story here. I was on and off with the game. I liked it, but it felt stale at times. Hell, I even stopped playing until just recently because of Splatfest. So with the absence of the fests, don't be surprised if you notice the number of active players drop as the days go by. I even ran into a YouTube comment, I can't really remember where though, where the person basically said that Splatoon is just an online game now. And I think that perfectly summarizes the situation. I also like to think that this is why people are sad and worried. It sucks to see something that you love go away whether you thought it was time to say goodbye or not. It just doesn't feel the same anymore. A personal example of mine would be the cancellation of the LEGO Bionicle line back in 2010. The cancellation brought upon an unfinished story, and the final wave that was released is almost unanimously considered to have been an improper send-off to the line. Kind of a random comparison, but I hope it illustrates my point regardless. Anyway, consider this. Splatoon came out on May 29th, 2015, and the interesting thing about it is that it was a new intellectual property by Nintendo, which is something they haven't done since Pikmin in 2001, and B, the game was an online shooter, a genre in which the Big N has never taken on by themselves before. So needless to say, it was a big risk, and it caught all of us by surprise, but it performed beautifully, selling 4 million copies worldwide and being one of the key games to have boosted Wii U sales. You would expect something like this to be supported for a long time, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want to keep it going for a while? And after an amazing year, Wii players just kinda took it for granted and assumed that the Splatfest would be there, just as they always have. Or maybe that's just me. In either case, when the last Splatfest was announced, it was a nasty surprise to say the least. And its abrupt end has caused me to question the game's fate. Are people going to be as passionate as they were before? Or how long will it take before players start to leave? But I guess that's just how it is, right? Always going to have change in your life, and we must face it in our own way. I'm not saying that the game is flat out dead. No, far from it. My question is, how long will the game last after this? Others will be splatting it up in the future, for sure. I just feel like something's missing now. The absence of Splatfests may bring sorrow to many, but we can all turn to our everlasting memories to remember all the phenomenal times that we had. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, thanks for watching. Might as well make this quick too, since you're sticking around. Go ahead and leave a like or a dislike, give me an idea of what you guys think of the overall of the video. And speaking of overall thoughts, why don't you go ahead and leave a comment. I would love to hear some critique. Be honest, I don't judge you. If you feel so inclined, why don't you go ahead and click that little subscribe button up there. That's what it's for, so you can get informed of more videos. Oh, and I do have more videos planned, so don't you worry, I'll be back. Maybe. Either way, I think that's about it, so until next time, see ya.